Welcome to Breaking the Chain. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Cody.
And we got a little battleground that happened this weekend, so we're going to go over a little bit of that.
Just a little
and then
battleground.
Some of the Sage meta. Just a little battleground, But
Yeah.
then we're going to talk about the Sage meta. But first of all, how was your week in Flesh and Blood?
It was actually really great. I had a Battlegrounds on this last Sunday. It was the Ironline Battlegrounds, which you can actually watch on YouTube. I think is on the Ironline. I think that's their YouTube channel. Anyway, I was on stream for a game too, so you'll see me play against a Vincent. But to recap, I brought Volda, who I consider to be definitely one of the best decks in the format, and it's not an unpopular opinion considering the meta share that Volda's had so far in some of these tournaments. And long story short, I made a mistake that unfortunately did not get me to top 8. But let me go through the rundown. So round 1, I play against a Bravo Flattering Showman, and I just kept the dominate train rolling, and they did not stand a chance. It was like a non-game basically. Round 2, I played against a Decimator Dory, which I think is a pretty unfavored matchup. I had actually not played it yet. I had not run into any in my testing. So it was my first time playing it at the tournament, and I basically had to watch their pitch stack, see the red overpower they pitched, come back up, and play around it in order to take that game down with some dominates. And my spicy Seal of Imperial Flame, I think is what it's called. Hold on, let me look it up really quick so I don't misname it. Imperial Seal of Command is what it's called. It's the red item from the Hunted that says just action destroy this, defense reaction cards can't be played this turn. And then it has something for your royal too. But the main thing is you destroy it, your defense reactions can be played this turn, you throw an attack with dominate. Some decks look at their hand and this is all D reacts. They literally can't block with a card from their hand, depending on the deck. So that did pretty well into the Decimator Dory, and it's been feeling pretty good overall too. But anyway,
I remember you showing me the list, and I was like, "That's so spicy!" Like I could see it. I'm like, "That's so spicy."
Yeah, it was like I was having so much trouble into the old hymns, and so that was one of the texts to help beat old hymn. It doesn't stop the hero text, by the way. It says they can't be played, not activated. So they can still do the earth.
It's the CNC text.
Yes, exactly. But there are still, staunch response isn't going to cover up your entire attack or anything like that. So it can help leak a lot of damage against old him. And it happened to be, I didn't know how to side into Decimator Dory, but I was like, this card's good. Like, I feel like they're going to be this weird defensive throw the axe every turn. And that's exactly what it was. So it worked out. I didn't expect them to have, they had Wounded Bulls and Finals Fighting Spirits in there too.
Well, it used to be a bunch of Sirens of Safe Harbor, the one that's just 3 for 7, or no, sorry, that's not even correct. Like 2 for 7, block 2, gain 1. So it's like you have to find something to replace with, and they ran all 6 of that. So they in the ban, I think they lost half their deck in the last ban that was suspended.
That's actually kind of crazy. Yeah, I didn't realize they played all 6 Sirens.
And then they played all 6 of Steelblade Shunt as well.
That's right. They lost Steelblade Shunt too. Yep. They lost a lot of cards. Wow.
Yeah. So
yeah.
That was
not as quite as good these days. And it's been showing. Which actually, that reminds me, I didn't go over the meta the meta share, I should say, meta breakdown for this tournament. There were 60 players at our Battlegrounds. In terms of very funky spread, but as expected, there were 9 IRAs and 8 KOs, and then a ton of 3-0s. A ton. There were 3 Azalea, 3 Dromai, 3 Phi, 3 Florian, 3 Kano, 3 Oldhim, 3 Riptide, 3 Volda, 3 Vincent. So very wide Battleground meta, but crazy. KO and Ira being the most represented by far. So anyway, that was my round 2, and then my round 3 I played into an Ira, and unfortunately, my testing with Ira was a little bit too limited. It turned out to be. I was under the impression that I was supposed to be going first into every single matchup. I've now realized that's not the case into Ira. Into Ira, you are supposed to go second, and that was shown with this first Ira game. I wanted I roll, chose to go first. Look at my hand. All it does is heave a blue thunderquake, and so that's what I do. I just heave a blue thunderquake and pass, and they proceed to attack me, and my hand has 0 crush cards. So I proceed to block with 3 cards and throw this Thunderquake for 8. And from then on, I didn't find a single pummel until it was too late. I couldn't keep enough cards to throw pummel. Every time I threw a boulder drop, a red boulder drop, they had an on the horizon in hand, so they didn't even have to give armor to block to stop the on hit. They had, I think there was a time they had like a reinforced line when I dominated an on hit too. So they basically, like, at the end of the game, they still had armor left. They didn't even use armor when they killed me. And like everything I did, like it's like every possible thing that could have gone wrong on my end went wrong. But I do think that I was mistaken in my turn order choosing for that matchup anyway. So got my first loss in round 3. Round 4, I played against Vincent on stream. And what's funny is neither of us noticed that he started with an illegal equipment setup. So the Vincent was on Nebula Blade, which I was surprised by. And also Bloodied Oval in the second in the offhand slot, which, by the way, not allowed because Nebula Blade is a 2-handed weapon. But I'm so used to Vincent's having the flail that I was like, oh yeah, they always have the Bloodied Oval in the second hand slot. But yeah, that was not a legal card. So what's funny though is that he never blocked with it. So it kind of never came up. But there was actually a point in the game where I saw they hit Bloodied Oval and his what's the Blade Beckoner helmet. And so near the end of the game, I was like, I can't like try to just hammer to take 2 cards because he's Bloodied Oval and he can block 1 card in a equipment twice. And so that did affect my play for what it's worth. It wasn't like it had 0 effect, but I think my line was maybe better anyway. And I got fortunate in that game. I think I actually should have lost that game. And he unfortunately just had like a bit of a brain fart and banished a pummel instead of a rune gate card, and could have pummeled one of his rune gates, and I don't have to react, or at least not into Vincent. And so I think he would have won that game had that pummel gone through. It would have been a fairly obvious pummel, but I still would have been pretty behind. Mm-hmm. It's hard to know for sure because he would have probably like drawn up a full grip and then maybe couldn't convert the hand. So, but it would have changed the game a lot. Anyway, that was round 4. Took it down, so I'm 3-1 at this point. There are 6 rounds, so I cannot lose another round because only at 1 X2 makes it. So I have to win out because I didn't lose the only last 2 rounds. Round 5 is against. Oh shoot, what is it against? Oh, it's against Fi. That's right. It was Kodachi Fi. And wild. Yeah, I was not expecting Kodachi Fi. I think that Falda is almost like just generically unfavored into Emberblade Fi. But Kodachi Fi felt a lot better. It was just less damage output. It was more breakpoints, which is probably better for the Oldhim matchup maybe, but I don't care about that as the Volda. So kind of
one less damage.
Yeah, there was one funny interaction where I had to call the judge on something because late in the turn I realized that he was running, what's it called?
Saltwood?
No. The card that you opt 3, the red one opts 3, even bigger than that. He played even bigger than that, and I didn't think about it drawing a card until like near the end of his turn. I thought it just added the card to your hand, but then I thought about it. Then for some reason I just thought it was like, wait, and I read the card and it said draw, and I was like, uh-oh. And thankfully the Valda trigger is not a May trigger, so I got the 2 times surges from it because I had promising terrain out. But yeah, got a warning for that for failure to maintain game state. But yeah, I took that one down, and then last round was against another Ira. I again chose to go first. I did have a very good start though. I think it was like play an aura, heave one of the heave 2 10 power crush cards. And
one of the best starts.
It was one of the best starts really. And I still didn't get there. He was able to convert his first hand really well. There was a point in the game, and this is where I think the first mistake was. Or maybe it was the second mistake. But in the first one, the main one I can identify, there was a point in the game that he goes, he had blocked with a Tiger Eye Reflex. So he had a Crushing Tiger. So he goes Kodachi, Tiger, Kodachi, Tiger, blue Pouncing Key for 2 go again, into Kodachi, into, well, he has an attack at the end. But I know he's going to go Kodachi something because he had 2 cards in hand. And I was only able to block with 2 cards with the way that I wanted my turn to work. And so I blocked 3 on the blue Pouncing Key, thinking he might just have like a 0 for 4 chain ender. But he ended up throwing the 1 for 6 that you have to pay an extra to make it keep it 6. I think it's like bluster buff or something. And so I lost. I took an extra damage for that. I didn't have to block yet because I wasn't that low. And it ended up causing me to be effectively Kodachi locked too soon. There was also a point in the game where once I was getting into Kodachi locked territory, I could have blocked my helmet, given him a card, and just said maybe the card doesn't matter. I think that was the second mistake. But I ended up basically losing by 1. I just couldn't quite threaten an extra card out of his hand on an important turn. And then he was stripping every card of my hand, and so I ended up losing. But I think things went kind of fortunate for him, unfortunate for me in some cases. But I did make 2 mistakes that I think were even without the hindsight, I think were just clear mistakes, unfortunately. And so I got my second loss.
From what I hear, Silver Age is like definitely like if you make a mistake, it is game ending sometimes. Because so to say you made 2 mistakes, I think
100%. And that is the cool thing about the format is it is very skill expressive, I guess would be the term for it, where like the skilled players get there. It's not like there is some RNG. Like there are some games you'll just lose because you have some RNG, but you'll keep seeing names you recognize at the top of the tournaments because there's a lot of skill expression. It's not just it's not Blitz. It's not like what you remember Blitz being. And so because it's 20 life format, every small mistake is so massive and just so compounded that it's really cool. It's cool because it's like it really makes it so that it doesn't feel like it's just everything goes like you can just get it's just an RNG format. But anyway, long story short, really cool tournament. I pulled I wonder if that'd be kind of cool to show. The tournament packs were sick. I'm gonna try to find it. It's in this box. I had to remember where I put it. The tournament packs are so cool. So they had the art cards. My first pull out of my tournament pack was a blue Emeritus Scolding.
Oh, that's actually so cool.
It's so cool. It looks so much better in person. It's gonna be reversed for people watching the video, but it is a full art blue Emeritus Scolding, and it looks gorgeous. It is so cool looking. I cannot describe how cool these cards look. And then top 16 got an additional tournament pack, and so I pulled a blue Flick Flack. Let me put it in front of my face so it focuses better. Maybe camera. Hello. Yeah, it's not as cool as the Emeritus Scolding, but it's still a cool card. And then they have like the cold foil art cards. So this is like I think part of Olympia or something.
But that looks like Olympia.
But I did pull a Vincent one and gave it to one of the Vincent guys because he was looking for him. But yeah, really cool tournament. I had a blast. I hope that they keep doing these. It was great to have like a 60-person tournament that people were excited to join and play, and it was also so nice how quick it was over. Like it was 6 rounds of Swiss. It started at I think 11, and I was already on my way home at 2:30. It was so nice. It was so awesome.
Wild.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the top 8 of that Battlegrounds, just like to recap for anybody interested. Top 8 was 2 Iras, 1 Valda, 2 Old Hymns, a KO, a Florian, and a Terra. The finals was Florian versus Ira, and I think it was Florian versus Ira, right? No, maybe it was. Yeah, it was Florian versus Ira, and then Florian took it. So congrats to Andrew Monaster for taking down our Battlegrounds. But go ahead.
The Florian took it?
Yeah.
You said?
Yeah, Florian.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, super cool tournament. Highly recommend the next time they have these that everybody go to it because it was a lot of fun. It was a blast. It was like because it was a locals, it just felt like a local ProQuest style tournament, but it was so many people. There were so many people there. There were people that haven't even played the game in a while that I got to see there. Which was really cool. But
that event filled up crazy fast too.
It did, and then they opened up more tickets. I think it was like open to 72, and like the original limit was 64, but then they increased the cap, and then people couldn't show up for one reason or another, and so that we ended up getting 60 anyway. Yeah, really cool tournament. We can jump into the Battlegrounds results. This insinuates there were what 5, 10, 16,
I think there were 4
20,
Battlegrounds.
21? What was that?
I think there was 4 Battlegrounds. I think this is top 8 results, not winnings.
Well,
so these are heroes that made it. Yeah. So how many heroes made it into top 8?
No, I think this is winning. So I think there were only 4 in like the US or North America, but I think there were 21 amount worldwide. Is I think what it was.
Okay, I might be misinformed.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. Someone let us know if we're wrong in the comments. But yeah, I believe that there were 21 of these worldwide. We just had very few in the US or North America.
I guess if it's odd, then it can't be top 8 results.
That is also true because it's 21, right? 10, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Yeah, it's 21.
Okay, well, that makes more sense.
So for results, we had these are the wins, top to bottom. 5 Ira, 5 Florian, 2 Phi, 2 KO, 2 Oldhim, 1 Bravo Flattering Showman, 1 Dromai, 1 Kano, 1 Riptide, and 1 Valda. Not what I expected.
Not what I expected either.
I think there's 2 very surprising numbers here. First, 5 Florian being tied for the most wins, followed by KO only having 2 wins. I'm not necessarily too surprised about that, but I think that is the most surprising thing to hear from this. And it follows the logic that I talked about last week, which is that the meta has shifted. It is now a KO, since KO is the best deck, we're all going to respect it format, and therefore KO is no longer the best deck because of it. Still very strong deck, obviously, but the meta has shifted, and KO is suffering due to it.
I think it's interesting because, like, I think KO is extremely strong, but also the entire meta has gone to target KO. Like, I think a lot of what is the meta is how can I beat KO?
Yeah.
And I think that's like every deck's first checklist is how can I beat KO?
Exactly.
And I think that makes it really hard to play KO because every deck has, like, in every single deck has a game plan into you. Strong or not, every deck is a game plan, and that makes that extremely hard.
Exactly. And that's what I was trying to say is that last week was that the meta's already shifting. It's shifting further in that way. We're going to start seeing a bit of a counter shift because of it. Because people are respecting KO so much, we're going to start seeing these level 3 decks come in. The Enigmas, the Dromais, the I don't know what else is probably good that loses the KO but beats the non-KO decks. But all those types of decks are gonna start cropping up, right?
Which makes KO stronger again.
Exactly. Then it's just gonna keep being this loop, this loop of meta shifting. So I'm really interested to see where the meta shift is in Yokohama next weekend. But in the meantime, is there anything else you want to talk about the Battlegrounds before we moved on to calling Shanghai?
I mean, I didn't get to play in the Battlegrounds. It like filled up too fast, and I think by the time I needed to have like the weekend requested off, they didn't have the cap increase.
I see.
So yeah, so I wasn't able to go. So it was sad, but what it is. I don't know. It's like cool to see all these results, and it's cool to see the meta is a little more spread than I expected when I saw the ban list. It is still crazy to see how dominant some heroes are, though. Like Florian and Ira are still very dominant.
Yes, which I mean, Florian wasn't dominant at first. It's now cropping up to be dominant.
Apparently, that rootbound unban was actually very, very like good for him.
Is that the case? Was it unbanned in Sage? Was it banned before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch it.
There's a 0-4 D react that like decomposed. So it was like sync below, but better for Earth.
Because I thought it was just the unbanned in CC, but I might be just remembering the.
I'm pretty sure it was unbanned in both. Actually,
you're probably right.
Well, now I have to double check.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'll talk about the calling Shanghai. Do we have the meta breakdown available? I'll look that up in the meantime as well. But for the standings, we have it's happening right now as we're recording this. We did have day 1 happen last night. Some really cool games, by the way. Highly recommend going and checking out the stream for that. DM Armada and Ashen Wings did a really cool. Is it called a restream when they do like an English stream over the Chinese one? Anyway, they did a restream of it and cast it over it. Oh, perfect.
There we go. I got the.
So we have the standing or the meta share rather. 23% KO, 18% Ira, 10% Valda, 6% Oldhim, 5% Fi, 5% Florian, 5% Kano, 4% Dash, 4% Briar, 3% Dory, 2% Bravo Flattering Showman, 2% Vincent, 2% Riptide, and then a handful of 1%. And then the standings at the end of day 1, we have 2 undefeateds, both Iras, Law Wen and Pudding Tam. Pudding Tam makes sense as one of the ninja undefeateds. And then we have in the top seeded X1 is a Terra. And then we have what looks to be mostly Iras, KOs, Kanos, and Valdas. And then we have one Briar, one Oldhim.
Valdas.
Yeah, there's a lot of Valdas. One of my testing team partners is up there, Nicholas Tran. So wishing him luck. He's 6-1 with Valda. And then we also have another testing teammate that's let's see where he is on this list since you posted all of them. He is 5-2 with Valda. Where is he? Maybe he's at the bottom of the 5-2s because he lost in an early round, unfortunately. There he is, Martin Hollick at number 41. But I'm seeing a lot of big names on Valda. I see Brody Spurlock. Mm-hmm. I see, where is he? I see Jude Cornett, Justin Koo. A lot of people are realizing this Valda hero is pretty good in Silver Age right now. And we watched Justin beat a Fi on stream. It is an Emberblade Fi, and it did not look like he was in a good spot, but he navigated it very well and ended up taking it down.
Arthur Trehayes on Valda.
Yeah, Arthur and had a pretty unfortunate. I think it was round 2 is what I was told. I didn't get to see it in person, but I heard he had some choice cards in the deck. It's like the Rainbow Crashdown, I think is what it was. I think it's what it's called, where it's the 3 cost.
The aura.
Yeah, the aura. The red one gives +6.
Mm.
And he was running into Ira. I think probably just has them in the main board and just can't take them out. But interesting list, to say the least. We saw
it's cool to still see some success with like a different list than I think what everyone else is running.
There's a surprising amount of flex space in a lot of these lists, and I think that's one of the cool things about the format too, is that you might have like quote unquote solved lists, but there's still flex spots. There's still all these sideboard tech options that you can run in all these decks, and there's just a lot of deck building creativity you can get rewarded for. I know for Valda there was a ton of discussion on just the equipment alone, like what we run, and then I know other heroes have even more decisions on the equipment.
I'm surprised there's like that much discussion around Valda's equipment.
Yeah,
there's I can see discussion.
Obvious ones, but
yeah. But it's like I get like the helmet. I could see some discussion because like it's so incredibly powerful to create a seismic surge on demand. Yep. But it's also so hard in like go again matchups to find a correct spot to block with it.
Yep.
The arms, I guess I could see. The boots, I think, are just that's the boots, like the temper 2 boots. And then the chest piece, I feel it.
It's because you can run the vigor chest piece for the Ira matchup.
Oh yeah. So when they like Dachi, they can't go again.
Which Iras have learned to arsenal their Bittering Thorns, and some of them are running like leg taps, and there's like some other 1-for-4 go again tiger cards that they're starting to run to counteract that, because Oldham's definitely run the vigor chest piece, and some Valdas have started running it too. Because you can literally just end their entire turn with a well-timed vigor, which is really, really good. But yeah, there's just so many weird, funky sideboard pieces that you wouldn't even think of until you look through the entire card pool and you're like, wait, this card makes sense. Like, I'm running Imperial Seal of Command. Who would have thought that was a card that people would be playing? I
think that's so cool about Sage. It's like you can pull these really odd cards, and it's not solved enough to be like, this just doesn't make sense at all. Like, everyone's like doing a lot of really fun stuff.
Exactly. And not to like get too off topic here, but I think it's like one of the really cool things about Silver Age is that there's so many heroes. There are so many cards that are viable cards. Like, they would never be considered in CC, but they are actually considered in Silver Age, that anytime that there's a large meta shift, that's so much deck building potential that just opens up. Really cool format. I'm gonna keep praising this format till the day I die, or the day that Flesh and Blood is gone or something. I don't know. This format is so sick. I think I'm starting to prefer it to CC actually, which is kind of crazy, but
that's
such
wild.
A cool format. Such a cool format. There's just so many cool things.
It is definitely very cool.
I think format. The deck building is so interesting. I think it's what I really enjoy about it the most, is the deck building, like the looking into the meta and the sideboarding.
I do.
Go ahead.
Really enjoy not just having the best card in deck. Like, this is obviously the best card. I'm just adding it to my deck. Why wouldn't I add it? I mean, of course, there's still cards like that. You're still gonna have cards that's like, okay, well, this is really good. Yeah. I guess I'll add it. Like, but you don't have just, I don't know, 1/3 to 1/2 of your deck is just Majestics that you have to fill your deck with, and then the rest of the cards are cards that work with the Majestics. It's like, this feels like I have so much blue space. What do I fill it with? Like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Like, I have all this weird space in this area. What do I do with this? Like, it is very cool, and it's like, it's so interesting because like, very obviously I build a lot of Valda decks, and it's so cool to like have what I consider the best Valda deck, and then go watch like other people play Valda and see that, or like see other people send me their deck list. I'm like, this is completely different. I didn't even consider that card. I didn't think about that. Like, Crash Down. Like, I watched a little bit of the stream, and I had it running on the background a lot last night, but it's like, it is cool to like see all these different builds of at least Valda.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. There's so many different archetypes of decks too, right? Like, there's Riptide decks that are mostly traps, and there's Riptide decks that are mostly arrows, and so on and so forth, right? You can have so many different there's just so much deck building. I'll summarize it that way. There's so much deck building.
Then you have Life of the Party Ira, which is like one of my favorite Sage decks.
I love that too. It's so fun.
And then you have like the more casual side of like Sage too. Like, and I don't know how big it is at like armories, but it's like I really want to play like build a doubling season Terra list for Sage. Like I have that on the back burner. I have a list and I'm ready to build it, but I just haven't taken the time to actually put it together and bring it to an armory yet.
Yeah, once I can make it to like a Silver Age armory, I'm so excited to start playing anything. Like I'll play Arachne, I'll play Gravy Bones, I'll play whatever. Like I'm just here to have fun deck build.
Colorado's actually had quite a few Silver Age armories the last couple weeks.
Yeah, there's some days I can't make is the only problem. But yeah, we actually are very fortunate to have access to one of the stores is like rotating the Silver Age armory between their 3 locations. And so yeah, I think it's a great armory format. I think Silver Age. This is another hot take. I think Silver Age should be the armory format. I think it's just perfect for a weekly event.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to play 4 rounds and be leaving at 9 when the event starts at 6. Instead of playing 3 rounds and like, or like even then like play 4 rounds, even like it might be 8:30. It's like play 3 rounds, maybe 4, and you're leaving 9:30, 10. It's like very different, and it's like, oh, I played more Flesh and Blood, and I'm leaving early. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
and like you do all the fun, silly things too. Like,
that was something interesting too. Sorry, go for it. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, I just bring a lot of life in the party. Like, I love life in the party. I think it's so cool to like, 0 for 6 on hit, gain 2 life, or 0 for 7 because it's
and then pummel.
Pummel. It's disgusting.
But yeah, no. It was that was one interesting thing about the Battlegrounds was we had a 35-minute timer. I think we barely ever even hit the timer before all the games were done. Even the fatigue games don't go that long. And many of the games are even faster. They're like 15, maybe 20 minutes. So super fast format. Very good for I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Like life balance, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the last thing I want to talk about this week is diving into the meta a bit before Yokohama, which is next weekend, and has a Silver Age portion of the Pro Tour. So I'm going to be using the February meta results tool for a lot of this, but also some of my own experience to supplement it. I think the biggest question for me is why is Florian doing so well? Why is he performing well into the IRAs, into the KOs, into mostly everything really? The Talishar stats have him at about 50-50 into IRA and then 40% into KO. But I've been seeing that Florians are actually, I think 40% is maybe just accurate into KO. And that Florian actually doesn't want to see the matchup, but can win. And with my experience on the KO side of it, when I was testing KO, was you could brick very often in that KO deck and just give your opponent space to do whatever they want. Or you just throw very mediocre turns, right? Like your go again source is a blue. Is it not wild? Wild Red is the discard, which you don't run. Buck Wild. Your go against source is a Buck Wild, so you're going like blue Buck Wild into like a 2 for 6, and so you threw 11, a 4-card 11, which is still good, but you're gonna fatigue yourself if that's what you're doing. If you're discarding all the time to do minimal damage like that, or your opponent can maybe like take a bit of damage and play the Read the Runes, right? In terms of the Florian matchup. So that was one thing I noticed a lot was that once you lose your boots, you can often just brick. You can discard the wrong card, which obviously your entire deck is 6s unless you're on a pummel. But when I say discard the wrong card, you can discard your only red, so you only have blues left, or you can discard your only blues, so you can only claw. Things can just go wrong for you, and you just don't do enough damage, and then the Florian can capitalize on that. So that's where like the Florians seem to be fine into Ira, which surprises me. I think that the Iras just can't convert their hands often in a lot of the lists, and so they can just take advantage of that.
And I think we talked about this a little before stream, but like I think Florian gains a lot of his power from his D reacts. Like he like in a format where you're not allowed to have 0 for 4 D reacts, he has Earth Sink below. He has 0 for 5 D react that is a rune chant generator.
Sometimes
and
0 for 6.
Has sometimes 0 for 6 and another 0 for 5 D react that deals damage. So like in a format where you're not allowed to have any 0 for 4s, and then Florian's just allowed to have a third of his deck as 0 for 5s, like is kind of crazy. Like the value of that is, I think, insane. And that doesn't even include if he's running the block card, and then half of his deck at least blocks 4. And
because of the D reaction, you mean, right?
Yeah, if you have or maybe not half, sorry, but it's like you.
I mean, it is a lot of the deck.
Numbers, but no, it's like you have 6 cards from your deck that block 4. Then if you put that one block card that everyone runs that blocks 4 into the deck, then you have 8.
That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, on the horizon, you have 8 cards that block 4.
You got it right here.
And then I'm sure you have. There you go. And so that's almost a quarter of your deck that blocks 4, and 2 of them, 4 cards from your deck block 4 and deal additional damage in one way or another by creating rune chants and or just dealing damage. So I think that's incredibly strong. Again, like so many decks have to do so many things out of their way to try and get efficient blocks, and Florian just gets the most efficient thing he can do in the block cards.
And even if like you want to do these setup turns to try to get around it, right, and punish the fact that they want to block a lot, half the time their hand converts. Like they're just playing their Arcane Seed's life. They are maybe discarding your Fruits of the Forest. They're playing their Runeblade incantations. Maybe breaking their arms to get another Runeblade incantation or something back to their hands. Like they can convert their hand a little more often than you'd like. A lot of them are also on Scepter of Pain, so if you leave them cards, they get to throw an Arcane at you. And if they eat a card with that, if you want to stop the Arcane to stop making 1 or 2 rune chants, I mean that's 1 less card you're throwing at them next turn. So giving them space I think it's the biggest problem is that you can't just like give them space to do these setup turns. You can't do this on-off turn thing all the time because they just get the Arsenal D-react and make a ton of rune chants and put you on a clock.
That's the other thing is they can Arsenal a D-react. Most decks just run block cards, so they can't Arsenal their block cards in their red. But Florian just happily will like, oh, he didn't attack me. Yeah, I'll just do this and then Arsenal my block card because it's actually a D-react.
Yeah, and there's so many good D-reacts in that deck too. But I think one of the biggest things that I noticed was people running the red D-react that says banish an aura from your graveyard if you do deal an arcane to the opponent. It's like the Sigil of Suffering, but it's like a mini Sigil of Suffering.
Yeah, the other 0 for 4 D-react.
Yeah. But like, I think it's really interesting to run that when they run that card to effectively get online quicker. To banish an Earth Aura, because they also run. That's another card that they can convert with. They run the Earth Aura that's like 1 cost at the start of your turn. Destroy this, gain 3 life. And so when you give them space, they just gain 3 life half the time because they run those cards. And then they get to banish that with a D-react to get online with just 1 Ruben Carapace, which is a big deal.
I think you gain so much power from that. Because you get to do so many things that has been deemed not healthy for I shouldn't say it like that. That other like is deemed like not what the format's really trying to be. And I think that's like the 0 for 4 D-reacts. And like they're class specific. So I think that's how they like get out of this. And it's not 0 for 6 because it's not flick flack. So
yeah, I would. If we were to see a ban, like if Florian, I am of the opinion, and we were going to do a tier list or a Sage tier list this week, but didn't really have the time to put that together. But had we made a tier list, I think I would put Florian at S tier, like maybe even above KO. I think that you're beating pretty much everything except for KO.
I mean, I could see above KO because I think the meta has just evolved to be so hostile. Like with Valda being like the third most represented deck, if not second most represented deck, or yeah, third most represented deck. Like that's just landmines all over the like battlefield. Like you just lose to Valda. Like that's the one thing about KO is like there's just no winning the Valda matchup, especially in Sage. So it's like you're like rolling the dice already by playing KO because a lot of the decks that draw a discard, I don't like it's all random. But not only are you rolling the dice, like I hope I hit my red so I keep my blue, or I hope I hit my blues because I have 3 blues and 1 red. Like you're playing that game. But now you're playing the game of I want to draw well and I can't play into Valda. And this other deck also has so much tech into me that I have to draw well. And oh, like Ira also can race me, so I have to draw well into that. Like all of a sudden, I think KO is like stepping back a lot further. And
Yeah,
that's where I'm like, I could like when I think of like the top 5 decks, I think of Ira and like looking at the other thing I want to break down real quick. It's like looking at the standings in the day too. It's like I want to say like Ira, Kano, and I think Kano you just have to be a skilled enough pilot, but it is a terrifying deck when someone knows what they're doing. It is extremely scary to play into a Kano that knows what they're doing. Because I don't think there's a lot of decks that can actually counter it. I think it is like KO that can really counter it, and Ira could probably counter it. But a lot of the other decks in the top just I matched into Kano, and it's like I was talking about the like Valda landmines for KO. It's like you have like Valda, Oldhim, Florian, which you were talking about. Like you just playing to Kano, you lost. It doesn't even matter what your game plan is. You lost. It's like so. Not being a little extreme, but I think it's like the landmine perspective of that. And that's what I'm like. I think Kano's a strong deck. I think Ira's a really strong deck. Like, like those are what I would put in S tier. Like, I don't see enough Florian performing well at the calling to feel like Florian's S tier, but I think he definitely deserves at least A tier, top of A tier with his battleground
I guess
results.
he isn't doing. He doesn't have any decks up there, does he?
I think I saw one.
He was also a very small portion. Well, I guess he's not that small portion of the metagame.
Like 14 and let me count how many made it today too really quick. One.
Yeah, is this all day 2? I guess this is all day 2. While you're doing that, Kano was actually the next deck I was going to talk about. I think that it's one of those decks that definitely it serves the same purpose as it did in CC, where it's just this thing you kind of have to respect, and it finds this balance of like, okay, people are respecting it less, it's going to do better. People are respecting it more, it's going to do worse.
Yeah.
Like I know some people. I was heavily considering just cutting all my extra AB for the Battlegrounds. I was like, I think I'm just okay with losing to Kano. And people are gonna have to make that decision. The sideboard space in Silver Age is very minimal, and having to add 2 or 3 extra pieces of AB and Arcane Polarities to your deck, that's a lot of sideboard
And
space
Oasis
dedicated.
Spy, and
I mean, some decks have to run that too, but usually a lot of decks are kind of just running the extra AB and Arcane Polarity and trying to kill them before they need extra Oases. Because I feel like if you're running Oasis and Arcane, you're trying to fatigue them, which is really only Oldhim that's trying to do that, I think, and maybe Destiny.
That's fair.
But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that it's so much sideboard space to win one matchup. Like, literally one matchup. If Icelander was better, it'd feel better to run all that, because they can also slot Icelander, but it's really just Kano that you're playing against. And having all that sideboard space for one matchup feels rough in this format. And so Kano has this weird role of just being like, hey, did you run sideboard into me? And even if you did, I can kind of just win anyway sometimes. Has a surprisingly better KO matchup than I thought. Like, I guess some people feel pretty good about their KO matchup as the Kanos, which I was surprised to hear. I thought that would be like an auto loss, but it's apparently not. It's actually not that bad.
Well, I think the problem with like Kano into KO is KO doesn't actually have a lot of pitch. What makes KO good in a Kano is the new arms that just have Spell Void 3 on it.
Which not every deck is running.
Yeah. Because again, the sideboard space. And especially when, like we were talking about, like the whole field's turning into more landmines and so targeted against you. You need more sideboard space to be able to target more decks than just Kano. Like you can't, like I can't spend slots to Kano when I am losing to Ira. Like I have to race Ira. I have to find a way to beat Ira, and that takes up 4 sideboard slots. And I'm going to play a lot more Ira than I am going to play Kano.
Exactly. And so yeah, Kano is an interesting spot, much stronger than I thought he was. And I think the next major one to talk about is Briar. I think Briar is way stronger than people give her credit for. We see Chris Ioli took her to where is he at? It's on the front page. 11th, 6-1. The only Briar up there, but still very good. I think the real deck that I want to talk about in terms of overperforming is Terra. Terra, I feel like, is the dark horse of Silver Age right now. It put a copy into top 8 of our Battlegrounds. Aurora took it to I think a really good, I can't remember exactly how high up. It's like top 16 or top 32 of a calling a month or two ago. And we see there's one top seed of X1 is a Terra. And
one Terra showed up, and that Terra's in 3rd place right now.
Was it? Oh yeah, literally the only Terra is in 3rd place currently. Yeah, I didn't notice that. Good catch. Yeah, so the singular Terra is all the way up at the top. I think this deck is super underrated. Has a ton of dark horse potential in terms of this positioning in PT Yokahama. I expect to see a lot more than just one show up.
The thing about Terra that I think is underrated, like not a lot of people value, is that Terra does the Ira thing, where it's like I just get +1 value each turn, and that's usually like I think that's super beneficial. And I don't know exactly how the deck's built, but I assume it's around taking advantage of just creating a might token every turn, sometimes creating it on both your turn and the opponent's turn. So it's more than just +1 value, it's +2 value as a hero ability. But like that's why I imagine is strong about it. But I know and Terra got Rootbound back as well, so he has a 0 for 4 D react. But it's super cool to see him doing so well, and I do think that it's like a dark horse deck.
Yeah, I wanted to look up a list really quick because I'm also curious.
Yeah. Small aside again, back to Florian. There are 5 Florian that made it to day 2. One of them is not X3. So
okay, so a lot of X3s.
Yeah. It's like 4 of them are X3, which is, I mean, you still made it to day 2. I've never made it to day 2 of a calling. So like credit where credit's due. But it's hard to like see that and make me think, S tier deck. Like I look at the top and I see Ira. Like in the top 8, I see 4 Iras. It's like I see 3 Kanos in top 10. I see like the one and only Terra in top 3. And so it's like, and then there's a KO in top 8. There's a Valda in top 10. And it's like, okay, and then there's a Florian in top 12. Like that's still super impressive. But then, like, a lot of the decks that you would think about and consider, like, Oldhim, like, I see more Oldhim in the top 60 than I do see Florian, which isn't a ton. Like, I think it's, like, 5, but...
Yeah, I mean...
It's, like...
I do think that these types of tournaments are going to be more heavily weighted toward the KOs and IRAs and are going to potentially pull down the Florian performance because of that.
I also wonder if it's like,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, I wonder if it's like the Earth hero thing where it's like they don't do well in callings, but at local events they do really well. And like Terra might be excluded from that because Terra's not played enough to have skewed results. But like with Florian, like, oh, you're at a local area and Florian ends up doing a lot better. Not to say that Florian players or like Florian players aren't as good, but it's just
that's exactly what I was gonna say actually too, was that it's it's likely that at these local tournaments where there's less of the dominant decks of the meta present, that it's taking advantage of the wider meta.
Yeah, that is a
so
very good way to
I
set it.
could be overvaluing Florian by a lot. I do think
Well,
that
I
is
think it's
in S tier minus the KOs and IRAs.
that's what I still think it's like high A tier. I think it's definitely like a pick that if you took to like the Pro Tour, I'd be like, that makes sense. But it's not something where I think like, oh, you're taking the meta deck. You are net decking this, like
Yeah.
I'm not sitting down and thinking like, oh, this is like, oh, you're doing something like maybe not dark horse, but you're bringing a good deck. You're definitely bringing a good deck. But it's something where I'm like, you sit down, you bring KO. It's like, okay, you're bringing the deck. Oh, you sit down, you're bringing Iro. You're bringing the deck. Like that's what I'm like. I'd say those two are S tier, and like even though KO is not getting S tier results, like the entire meta is defined by KO's presence. That's why I'm like, I think KO deserves S tier alone, just because the entire meta is. You have to respect KO, or you cannot make it to day two. You have to respect KO, or you'll just lose a lot of games. It's every deck, like we were talking about, is built to beat KO, and I think that is really defining to the meta and the hero. Even though I
100%.
don't think the conversion's as great.
100%. No, I agree. I am almost certainly overvaluing Florian because of the local tournament results, effectively.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what was that? What was I saying? Oh yeah, Terra, Briar. I think that.
Sorry, I keep jumping in and interrupting you.
No, you're good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to bring up. Oh, Vincent. I feel like Vincent is actually another really good dark horse. The only reason I moved off of Vincent was because the Guardian matchup felt really bad. Really bad. I think if someone figures out the Guardian matchups, or Guardian loses a bit of meta share, maybe because KO falls, like if there's a ban list and KO falls off and therefore Valda falls off, I could see Vincent being a very dominant deck. It felt super strong. But you need some gem luck to currently have Vincent perform well.
Yeah. I think Vincent's a very strong deck as well. Again, like it's just so weird in Silver Age right now because it feels like because there's so many heroes, like a lot of heroes just have like like landmines. Like I just have to get through this entire like and of course you're gonna lose some games. So you like willing to give up some of those games to the landmines. But you have to play perfect in the games that are like you have to play perfect in the games that are not your bad matchups.
Yep.
That's your landmine in the gem pool. So it's something where I think Vincent just has too many landmines. But outside of that, like she's a really strong deck. And that's where I think a lot of the decks that like get to the top, they're just generally very strong decks. They can take on a lot of the field, but they also don't have a lot of landmines. Like they can get around it pretty well.
I mean, that's just a generic deck choice, tournament deck choice philosophy. Is pick a strong deck. Like, yeah, you can be tricky and pick counter meta picks and everything, but you got to make sure it's at least a strong deck, regardless. For example, a lot of people are starting to pick up on these Riptide decks because they have some pretty good KO and Ira matchups since they trigger like every single trap every turn. But it's not a generically strong deck, so you're just not going to see it perform that well. In fact, do we have any? Like, how many day 2 Riptides do we have, if any?
I mean, only 4 showed up, which is
that's fair.
But let's see.
We also had only 1 Terra show up, and it's doing really well.
That's true. That's true.
I don't see any. Right. I think
see one Vincent that day 2.
I don't think I see a single Riptide that day 2'd.
I don't see any either.
Yeah. So like what I'm trying to get at is like, yeah, this deck is favorable into the top 2 decks, but it's just not strong. And actually on stream we saw it lose to a KO, which is its best matchup. It's the reason to bring the deck, and it lost to a KO. And I think that is something that people get a little bit lost in, is that if you pick a deck that's like very targeted at the top of the meta. The top of the meta here is 23% KO, 18% Ira. That's a total share of 41% of the meta. More than half the time, you're not playing against those two decks. You're playing against decks that you are probably going to lose against, and so you're forcing yourself to have to run into those decks. And obviously, the more you win, the more you'll run into the top of the meta decks, right? But you sit down round 1, you play against a Kano. Good luck. Now you lost
the other hard part.
And now you're running the less KOs and IRAs. Yeah. You're just on this like cascading snowball effect of running into the less of the top of the meta. But yes, I got it.
Well, and like even then, I wanted to say like Riptide still has like top of the meta picks that I think he struggles into. Like you sit down in front of a Valda, like what are you gonna do?
Nothing.
Like
you lose.
I'm just gonna watch Valda dominate me. Okay, I'll have fun. Like, and then I think what's so strong about KO is KO has all these bad matchups, but KO can just choose to win them. Like the deck can just be like, here's 27 damage on a platter, and then KO can be like, thank you. Anyways, next round. And I think that's what's so strong and why he's so meta defining is like, even though he has bad matchups, like you just can win them. Like you just, I just drew the damage that I needed to win this matchup. And I think your outs are like every deck has outs to win their bad matchups, but I think KOs are much more attainable.
Yes.
Where it's like, I just need to draw, discard a blue, and look at that. I did that. I won. Like, I need to draw a red off this draw card. Like, I think his outs are much more reasonable, and I think that's what makes him so powerful.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think the other thing that I think makes Ira so good is like I'm talking about landmines the entire format. I don't think Ira has like nearly as many landmines. Like I think the powerful thing about Ira is like you're at least 50-50 in the most matchups. Like sure, there's a couple that you're bad and you don't want to see Riptide. Like I think that's the one where you don't want to see it.
But that's actually funny you bring that up. I'm now looking at the meta results in February. She's the top deck, 0 red or yellow icons. Nothing below 46%. 45% is when it starts turning yellow.
44 into Oldhim.
Do you have 30 days? I'm looking at the last 7 days.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
I look at the last 7 days just like see like the latest deck building construction of the deck. So yeah, maybe the last 30 days it's slightly unfavored into Oldhim, but last 7 days the Iris are adapting, so they've made the Oldhim matchup now 46%. Right.
Into Kasai has 30%.
Oh, do I just scroll?
The 10 games that they have.
There we go. Yeah, if I scroll over to Kasai, which has 10 games, you're right. Is at 30%. That is the only matchup that is below 46%. Yeah. That's crazy. But yeah, so yeah, to your point, yeah, you have 0 matchups, 0 real matchups. You sit across from me, you're like, oh man, this is a bad matchup. None of them. You're like, oh, this is like ever so slightly unfavored. That's it. So Ira's looking like a very, very solid tournament deck where you just have to say, okay, I just got to diff my opponent, right?
Yeah, and you like look at like, Ira and like Florian 50%, Ira and KO 54%, like Vincent 51%, Oldhim 46%, Briar 49%, even Riptide you're 47% into. Yeah. Like it is something where I'm like, I think what makes her so strong is you can sit down in front of any opponent and be like, I can win this.
Yeah, exactly.
While in Silver Age right now, there's so many decks that have that matchup of like, I can win any game except for this one. So it's like, I think that's what's so powerful about Ira is that you just can win against any deck, and especially like the meta decks.
Yeah. I think that the last like class of decks that I want to talk about are the Illusionists. They are just so bad into Ira and KO that they just don't make sense to play right now. Even though they have some phenomenal matchups into the rest of the meta. But like you look at Enigma, 19% into Ira, 26% into KO. You literally cannot be running that deck right now.
It's beautiful. I couldn't have wanted anything better.
Yeah. And then poor poor Dromai has a 30% win rate in Devalda.
Yeah, Dromai is a cool hero. I'll give her that.
Yeah, Dromai very bad into literally the top 3 decks in the format.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, what all that means is I gotta pick up my Marvel Dromai now before the next meta.
I think I was the one telling you that. You're like,
that.
I'll pick it up when Dromai's good. I'm like, no, you have to pick it up when Dromai's bad. Like,
yeah,
you pick it up when Dromai's good, it's gonna be like $100 more.
The moment she's good, I'm a Dromai main. Let me tell you. But yeah. Anything else you want to talk about in the Silver Age meta before we sign off?
The last like short little thing I want to bring up is like, I'm so surprised with how much hype Dash got for a little bit, just for it to be immediately stomped out. It's like I felt like there was one like battle hard or not battle, whatever it was,
Showdown.
where she did showdown, where she did really well, and people were like, "Oh my god, it's the counter to KO. It's just so good." Dead. It's dead.
Yep.
I think one out of 11 made it to day 2. Like, it's a good deck, but
it got a solid portion of the meta share for what it's worth.
2 made it to day
2. 4% of the meta was Dash.
3. Oh no, maybe it's better than I thought.
Yeah,
there's 3.
I don't think the deck is that bad. I think
I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, it's solid, but that's it. I think it's just solid. It is very hard to play to 100% too. I've played against some really good Dash in testing, and it is a very strong deck and way harder to fatigue than you would think, unless you're on a deck that is like built to fatigue it. But I think that it definitely needs a little bit of help or a little bit of deck building and a lot of skill to pilot it correctly.
I would agree with that. But I just wanted to say that I thought it was kind of interesting that this deck was like the KO killer and like the deck to be playing and like can play more aggressive than KO and was like the deck that I felt like everyone was like, this is it. And then it just like there's like I didn't realize there was like 3 that made day 2. Still very impressive. But it's the like none of them have like a defining position, and it just doesn't feel like the dominant deck that everyone was hyping it up to be.
I don't remember there being that much conversation around it for what it's worth. I do think that it got a little bit of hype from that showdown win, but that's about it. We can see the stats are like they're okay. It's fine.
I mean, I have a very limited view of fair. Sage, and I think that was like the one showdown I really gotta like watch or whatever, or like really experience, like diving deep, and then all of a sudden I saw all that Dash. So I'm sure like that was my one like really weird obscure perspective.
And that's a cool thing too, though, is like especially if people aren't going to these big tournaments, you're gonna have a very different experience with Silver Age than everybody else. Because your local meta might like different things. They're not playing as many IRAs and KOs, so then you could experience something different. There's just so many legal cards in this format. It's so cool. It's so sick. But yeah, unless there's anything else, I think we will tie it off there. Let us know in the comments. What deck are you excited to play in Silver Age once the meta changes? Or do you think there's a different dark horse that we didn't discuss in this podcast? Let us know in the comments below, whether on YouTube or on Spotify. And with that, I'm Cody.
I'm Jacob.
And thanks for watching and listening.